Prospect week continues as we make our way down from number 20 to number 11 in the Mariners farm system. Coming up, Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Thursday, February 12th, 2026. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. My name is Ty and Gonzalez, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Colby Patnode. We're two lifelong Mariners fans who've been covering the team for over half a decade, and today our preseason re-rank of the Mariners farm system continues with prospects 20 through 11. Now, if you didn't watch or listen to yesterday's episode, which odds are you probably didn't because not a lot of you did, go do that now. Then come back here when you're done. We greatly appreciate you watching that episode or listening to it on podcast platforms. Actually, I think it did fine on podcast platforms, but YouTube, not so much. Anywho, Robinson Ortiz is our first prospect that we're talking about here, coming in at number 20, 26-year-old left-handed pitcher who the Mariners acquired from the Dodgers earlier this winter via trade. Comes in at number 16 on Colby's list, number 19 on my list. What do you think about Ortiz, Colby?
Low 3/4 arm slot, just like the Mariners like. 4-seam, 2-seam slider. He dominated at high A, he dominated at double A, got jumped all the way to triple A in 1 year, and he struggled in the PCL, and that's not too uncommon. The stuff is okay, but a lot of the value comes from the deception, particularly against left-handed hitters. I think he'll be fine against righties, but you definitely prefer him facing left-handed bats. And so you're kind of looking for that pocket of lefties that come up in the lineup. There's some swing and miss in the 4-seam. There's some swing and miss in the slider, but not a ton, so to speak. So it's interesting to see where he ultimately lands. Again, he's a lefty that the Mariners acquired. That's interesting. It worked out very well with Gabe Spire, who didn't have too dissimilar of a profile. And they're hoping it works out with Jose Ferrer. And there's a little bit of Ferrer in Ortiz, but obviously, those guys have proven big leaguers now. And Ortiz is 26 years old and yet to make his big league debut. So it's a little, difficult to rank him any higher than we did. But I wouldn't say he's more than a middle guy to me, but he's not a high leverage arm yet. I don't think he's going to be one. So I think I'd classify him as like mid-leverage plus type of dude. But we'll see. We'll see how the Mariners want to attack this. Do they have a tweak they want to make with him? Is there a location or a pitch mix change they want to make with him? Maybe, and maybe that unlocks something that's there a little bit more. I like him fine. I think he's going to be a major league reliever. I think he'll probably be a solid one. I just don't think he has, the ceiling to be anybody that you're super excited about. And, we'll see. We'll probably see him at some point this year, especially if Spire or Ferrer get hurt. He's probably the first guy up in that instance. But there's some traits here that are interesting, and the Mariners, have done more with less in the past, and Ortiz is major league ready, and I think he can provide some value this year. So as a middle plus type of reliever, I think there's some value here. And again, the Mariners farm system, not a great spot after you get past like the top 10 to 12.
All right, coming in at number 19 is Lucas Kelly, 22-year-old right-handed reliever who the Mariners drafted this past year. Comes in at number 21 on Colby's list, number 18 on my list, and he was number 18 the last time we did this. So we threw around the name Paul Sewald when talking about Lucas Kelly, but Paul Sewald with more velo, right? This is a guy that has touched 98, 99 in college, more so sits in the mid-90s though, but it's a very similar-ish delivery to Paul Sewald. The question with Kelly is what's going to be the second pitch? There's a slider, there's that changeup that he showed. What's that second pitch going to be? But the fastball is great.
70 grade fastball.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. It's a fastball that's plus, it plays way up in the zone. It throws 98 miles an hour, probably is going to touch triple digits with another year of development here. And it's a pretty good slider. I mean, it's not a 70 slider. It's probably like a 55 slider, but it's a 70 fastball with 55 slider. It's, on here, what I'll call the screw you fastball. on the Patreon. I call it something else. And that's like one of my favorite pitches. It's just that here's the fastball, bet you can't hit it. And they usually can't. He hides the ball pretty well. Like you said, it's very similar to Seawald, where he kind of throws across his body as a true side armor. And when you do that and the ball doesn't dip, right, it rises, or it looks like it rises. That's something that's very difficult to catch up on. It's pretty unique. Not a lot of guys can do that. There's a real chance he starts the year in Double-A Arkansas. He pitched for Everett at the end of last year, but we typically don't look at previous year draftees as pile arm guys, but Kelly he is in that pile. He wasn't acquired this winter, but he is in that pile, and he might be the best of them. Like, he probably has the highest ceiling. It's just, hey, let's see him do it at a higher level a little bit. Let's see him pitch in Double-A, make sure that that's not too big of a step for him. And if it's not, then he could jump straight to the big leagues some point this year. I would not be shocked at all if he was throwing some high leverage innings for you at some point in 2026. Like, the ceiling is significantly higher than somebody like Ortiz. We just have to make sure we know what the floor is, and we're not quite there yet. The sample size isn't quite big enough for me to push him, into the top 15, but he very well could be there in, like a month and a half, 2 months down in Double-A. So it's a big time fastball. It's that, it's that velocity, but it's also the deception, and it's the arm angle, and he hides the ball really well. That's all going to play very well at T-Mobile Park, as long as he throws enough strikes, and as long as he gets enough value out of that slider. He's going to be a 7th inning guy at least, and he has he might end up being a closer type of guy very soon. Like, is he better than Munoz? No, but he would be another high leverage arm the Mariners could add to the back end of their bullpen, and that could happen as soon as the summer, I think. So there's not a ton of guys to be super excited about, at this stage of our countdown. Kelly's one of them. It's just, he's a reliever only, so there's only so much hype you can actually get around a reliever. But Kelly is very good, and like I said, give him a month or two in Arkansas, he could be top 15 in the system easy.
All right, we will get into the rest of our list in just a moment, but first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by TurboTax. Look, y'all, tax season doesn't have to take over your life, all right? Because this year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150, all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. All you have to do is file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen for all things Mariners. And also thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Mariners with no interruptions, members only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonmariners.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Coming in at number 18 as we continue ranking the Mariners farm system before the season begins, Brock Rodden, utility infielder, 25 years old, comes in at number 20 on Colby's list, number 16 on my list, was number 24 the last time we did this list. So a pretty substantial jump here for Brock Rodden, who could be on the major league club at some point in 2026.
He's good defender. He was a minor league Gold Glove winner when he was healthy last. Plus at second base, probably can fake it at shortstop, probably would be fine at third, although the arm is kind of average. It's better than Ryan Bliss, but wouldn't be shocked at all if we see him get some reps out in the Cactus League in the outfield either. Like, there is some versatility here. He's a good base runner. He's a smart base runner. He steals bags without being, an absolute burner. So he's a very savvy base runner, a good defender. He's got some pop. Before this last year, he drew quite a few walks, but he really has kind of sold out to be like a power. I'm going to try and max out my power, but he's only 5'6", 5'7". Like, he's really not that big of a dude. So there's only so much power he can actually tap into. So we'll see where he ultimately lands in terms of, does he want to be more of a, slap the ball around type of guy and shoot the gaps, or does he want to try and get to the pull side as much as he can? But yeah, I mean, it's very similar profile to Jose Caballero, who was in the minors for a long time, got his shot as an older minor leaguer, and just kind of found a way to contribute by playing short and second and third, stealing some bags, giving you a good at bat. He's got more pop than Caballero. Caballero is much more likely to get on base, though. That's the trade-off. So yeah, it's not too dissimilar from past Mariners successes like Jose Caballero and Leo Rivas. Like, it's a very similar profile to those guys. Minus
it's just
some plate discipline, or some swing and miss, I should say.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that he does need to improve upon the plate discipline, because he does chase a fair amount. He's also, got some issues missing on pitches inside the zone, specifically catching up to velo. So, that obviously is going to be a massive problem for him at the majors if he doesn't do something about it. But again, everywhere that he's gone, he's hit, right? That's hard to ignore, even with the high strikeout rates that he's posted, specifically in AA. Before he got to AA, the strikeout rates were fine. He was walking a good amount. The strikeout rates were around like 18 to 20%, and then he got to AA, and that ballooned to like 27% in his first year there. And then, in his 37 games in AA this past year, it was like 30%. So. Yep. That obviously is a pretty big concern, because that number typically doesn't go down when you get to the majors. But again, it's a switch hitting profile with, pretty good defense, can play multiple spots on the diamond. Maybe, we'll see if they want to also throw him in the outfield, like you mentioned. He's an interesting dude that I think could factor in here for the Mariners at some point in 2026. All right, coming in at number 17 is one of the Mariners' newest additions to their farm system from the January 15th international signing period. Gregory Pio, outfielder, 17 years old, comes in at number 14 on Colby's list, number 21 on my list. Obviously, he wasn't ranked the last time we did this, because he was just added to the organization less than a month ago.
This is one of those guys that it's going to take some time. Like, you're going to have to be patient with him. But, center field is a possibility. He could stick out there. He's not bad by any means. He's good size. He's still got some projectability left too. He's still growing. Again, he's 16, 17 years old. Like, he's still growing, both in height, and he's putting on good weight. So we'll have to see where he lands on the athletic spectrum. But there's good size here. Pretty good bat speed, like plus bat speed is what I've heard, which leads some to think that he's going to hit for a lot of power. But like most 16, 17 years olds, the patience isn't there. The plate discipline isn't there. Like, he's swinging, like he's hacking, and he's trying to do damage. So it's kind of a unique profile here, where it's like, look, you're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to wait. I don't think this is a guy who's going to pop up in 3 years and we're going to be like, oh, is he on his way to AA? No, he's not. He's probably going to need a couple cracks at the DSL, but there is a high ceiling here as a guy who could play some center field and could hit for legitimate power. And that is interesting in this system in particular. That's worthy of being ranked pretty high because, again, there is not much of a middle class here. But you have a chance to stay up the middle and you have 1+ offensive attribute, you're probably going to wind up on a list like this. And so Pio, I like fine, not as much as the other guy we're going to talk about in a minute, couple minutes. But yeah, it's the ability to stay in center field. It's the projectability left on his frame. And it is the plus bat speed and the plus raw power that makes him a really interesting prospect.
Coming in at number 16 is another 2025 draftee of the Mariners. It's the left-handed pitcher Mason Peters, 22 years old. Comes in at number 18 on Colby's list, number 15 on mine. He was 19th the last time we did this list. So a little bit of a jump for Mason Peters, who still hasn't thrown a professional pitch yet. But who doesn't love a great lefty curveball?
That's my favorite pitch.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite generic pitch is just a big, loopy, left-handed curveball, the Barry Zito curveball. Obviously,
and dude, he spins that thing too.
Yes. It very good spin rates. Nobody throws a Barry Zito curveball anymore. Like, not that good. Peters is like an imitation of that pitch, where it's pretty similar profile, except, he's small. Like, he's like 5'11", 6'11", 6 foot, like 170 pounds. Like he's a small guy, which, may or may not prevent him from being in the rotation. I think the Mariners are going to keep him in the rotation to start this year because there's actually, some pretty decent stuff here. The fastball is 92 to 93 usually, but he can touch 95, 96 with a four-seamer at the top of the zone. Pretty decent changeup from what I've heard. Like it's a usable third pitch, a usable changeup, which will help him against the righties. But it's that big, 12-6 curveball that he has that he spins the what out of. And it's that pitch paired with the fastball at the top of the zone coming from, a smaller stature that can really eat guys up. And so he's going to have an opportunity to start. I like that. He's going to throw enough strikes. I think, again, the size, the durability, those are legitimate concerns. He's not a, 17-year-old kid. He's 22 years old. He went to college and he's kind of tapped out physically. So I don't know if he can start. If he does, I don't know there's enough fastball value. I don't know if the changeup is good enough that he would actually be able to be anything more than kind of a number 5 type of guy. But you put him in the bullpen, he reminds me of Tim Collins. If you guys don't remember who that is, he was lefty for the Kansas City Royals for their World Series teams who threw, 96 miles an hour with a wicked curveball. And I think that's a possibility here. So left-handed 12-6 curveball, I'm in. He's going to be in my top 30 at somewhere. And again, when you kind of factor in where the Mariners are at in their farm system, and also Peters is pretty nice prospect. I mean, I think if the Mariners had a better middle class, Peters would still be in our top 30. He just probably wouldn't be, in the top half of it. But he's an interesting prospect, and man, can he spin the baseball. So that is an interesting guy to watch. And I assume he'll be in Everett to start the year. That would be my guess. But maybe Modesto, but I'm thinking probably Everett.
Inland Empire. We got to get used to that. Yeah.
I mean, justice for Modesto is all I'm saying.
Nuts forever. Go nuts. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, we have a Patreon. It's called Control the Zone. And on there, we talk the Mariners, we talk the Seahawks, all that good stuff. For more information, go to patreon.com/Control the Zone. Link in the description of this episode. We are ranking prospects 20 through 11 in the Mariners farm system. Coming in at number 15 is another newcomer for the Mariners, another reliever they added via trade this winter. Alex Hoppe, right-handed pitcher. He is 27 years old. It is not often that we would put a 27-year-old in our prospect list, but we'll get to the reason why we're doing this in a second. Comes in at number 15 on your list, Colby. Number 17 on mine. Obviously wasn't ranked the last time we did this. Again, there's a reason that we're making an exception here for a 27-year-old on this list.
Now, I'll admit the fact that Hoppe is so much different from every other member of the Mariners bullpen may have factored into my ranking here because he is much more straight over the top. He's much higher arm slot than anybody else. And more importantly, it's a power cutter and a slider. And what's interesting about those two pitches is that they have very similar horizontal movement to each other. But the slider is about 3 to 4 miles slower and it drops late. So the two pitches look like each other. They tunnel very well together, but the slider is slower and it has a late vertical drop to it. And the cutter just kind of stays on plane. The cutter's 92 to 93. The slider's 88 to 89. The fastball averaged 98 last year. Like it's a power pitching profile. The problem with Hoppe, as it is with most guys who are 27 and have never been to the big leagues, is consistency.
Yeah.
Command and control, right? Like, because he's going to probably max out at 45 control and maybe 40 command, like he's probably only going to be a seventh inning guy. Just tough to trust a guy if you don't know when he's going to lose it and he's not going to throw strikes. But this is a power profile from a unique arm slot that has two pitches that tunnel very well together, look like the same pitch until the last minute. And it's almost like a changeup and a fastball between the cutter and the slider. So it's a very interesting profile. The Mariners obviously really like this guy too, because they went out and they traded for him. They didn't wait until, see if they could get him in the Rule 5. They gave
up a guy that ranked 20th on our list.
Yeah, like they gave up like a pretty decent prospect to get him. And when the Mariners do things like that, I pay attention. Because I think they've earned the benefit of the doubt when it comes to these type of guys, although that's waning a little bit in the last couple of years. Not as good of a record as they had at the beginning, but they gave up assets to get this guy, and he's got some really interesting power stuff. I'm interested. And Hoppe's maybe at the top of the list of the pile arms that the Mariners want to see. Like, if I had to guess, I think Hoppe is probably the guy that the Mariners have like as the ninth guy in their bullpen. Like, if we need to call somebody up, we're calling up Hoppe. But we'll see how it works out for him. But the power stuff, the over the top arm angle, the two tunneling pitches that work off of each other perfectly, the swing and miss rates, there's a lot to like here. It's just, can he throw strikes? Which, who knows?
I mean, even if he doesn't, he got a lot of guys to chase.
Yeah,
and down in AAA this year. Good. So, yeah, so sometimes even missing the strike zone works out pretty well for him. But yeah, he's got to throw more strikes with more consistency. That's just what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to with all of these live arms that we've talked about over however many years we've been covering the Mariners at this point, from the Gerson Bautistas to the who's the
Vieira.
Thiago Vieira. Thank you. That's exactly who I was thinking of. All those guys.
It's
right?
just, it's one of those things where it's like, you never know when this guy's going to walk a dude on 4 pitches and then he's going to try and sneak one down the middle to get back in the zone, and all of a sudden you've given up 2 runs and the game's changed. And that is why your profile is, that's why you haven't been in the big leagues when you're 27 years old and you have this type of stuff.
All right, coming in at number 14 is Teddy McGraw, a 24-year-old right-handed pitcher. Comes in at number 17 on Colby's list, number 14 on mine. He was 17th the last time we did this, so a little bit of a bump for Teddy McGraw, who seems to be, fingers crossed, finally healthy. Can he throw a full season without any interruptions in professional ball? That's the big thing here, and this is kind of his last chance to make it happen too.
I really want to like Teddy McGraw a lot more than I do. It's just like, I'm not falling for this again. Like, stuff-wise, Teddy McGraw is one of the better arms in the Mariners system. Like,
and that's why he still ranks as highly as he does for us.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. It's all about the health with Teddy McGraw. Because if he could stay healthy, you'd be 95 to 98 with a plus changeup, with a plus slider. Now, good size too. Not an incredible athlete on the field, but he repeats the delivery okay. Now, I don't know if this is because of the injury or, what have you, but command control, been a bit iffy at times this year. He didn't walk guys last year, which is good, but doesn't really hit his spots all that often. So, and that just speaks to the stuff that he has, is that he can get away with it because his stuff is so much better than whoever he's facing has ever seen before. But that's going to change this year. He's going to have to throw more strikes. Again, I don't know if that's because of the injuries. He had a Tommy John. He had the brace thing in his elbow. And then last year was the shoulder. Like,
he had a flexor thing.
Yeah. So like it's all in the elbow, and it's just, man, if I thought this guy could start, like if I legitimately thought this guy could be a starter, he would be, just stuff wise, would have been right there with Senja. And so, but we're 3 years in now. He's never stayed healthy. He's probably going to the bullpen just because I don't think his body can handle the rotation right now. But the stuff is really good. It's really good 3-pitch mix, and I wish he could stay healthy. Heck, if he did stay healthy, he probably would be in the majors already. Like he's very polished and all that, but the injuries have just, worn down his durability. They may have taken a bite out of his control and his command, but I'm willing to dream one more time on Teddy McGraw. But after that, it's like, I can't do this anymore. So this is a big year for him. He's got to take a leap.
Yeah, this year, I wouldn't say, just to go back to what I said earlier, like I wouldn't say that this is his last chance just to make the majors, but it's definitely his last chance to prove like he can start.
Yeah.
This is a massive year for him in that regard. So hopefully he can do it. Hopefully he can stay on the mound. All right, coming in at number 13 is another recent international free agent signing of the Mariners. It's Juan Rijo, 17-year-old outfielder, comes in at number 13 on both of our lists.
Dude rakes. Yeah. Like he absolutely rakes, and it's always been an advanced approach. He understands the strike zone. He uses the whole field. He'll go gap to gap, pretty good exit velos, pretty good bat speed, like way above his normal, the typical skill set of a 16, 17-year-old in terms of feel. And he's gotten bigger and stronger recently, and he's added more power to his game, which was kind of the thing that was holding him back a little bit in some of these ranks. And Apparently, there's a pretty good chance he can stick in center field. He's a pretty decent runner. Maybe ultimately ends up in right field, but I just read like, hey, a guy who can maybe hit 20 homers, maybe 25 even, play really good corner outfield defense. He's going to draw walks. He's going to hit for a little bit of average. It's like, hey, that's kind of like my favorite version of Mitch Haniger, 2018 Mitch Haniger. Now, again, it's going to be a little bit because he's such a young guy, but maybe not as long as it's going to take for, what's his name? Pio? Rio and Pio. I'm going to get those guys mixed up more than once, but probably not going to take as long as he is because he's much more polished, in the box. Probably be in the DSL this year. I could see him make his stateside debut at the beginning of next year, probably in the Arizona League to start.
Extended spring training.
Yeah, and then probably Modesto. But again, that's at least a year away. But man, this kid's got the tools. Like he is, and he's still getting bigger and stronger as well. So there's a shot you end up with a guy who's got, can hit 270, 280, and he maybe hit 25 bombs and still play, a decent center field, but maybe even a plus corner outfield spot and run a little bit. Like there's a real 5-tool player here. If everything develops well, it's just he's 17. So there might be 5 tools. There could be 0. We just don't know until we actually see it. But I'm much more willing to take a bet on him than I am. And I think we've reached the point now where like everybody we're going to talk about is interest. Like this could be they're like impact. a real prospect. Like, these could be everyday players. These could be rotation pieces. Like we're at that point now. I think Rio kind of starts that. We're at that point with the Mariners farm system now.
All right, coming in at number 12 is Korbyn Dickerson, another 2025 draftee of the Mariners, 22-year-old outfielder, comes in at number 12 on Colby's list, number 11 on mine, and he jumps up from number 13 the last time we did this list. My opinion really hasn't changed much, if at all, since the last time we did this. I mean, it would be kind of impossible for that to be the case since he's only played 2 games of pro ball since then. But yeah, it's a really good glove, potentially plus center field defense, high exit velocities. It's just,
can he hit, particularly breaking balls?
Yeah, it's the chases, it's missing on pitches inside the strike zone. It's all that, right? So,
yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say. He could be Jose Siri, he's carved out a nice career for himself, but not anything you're super excited about. He could be Mike Cameron. Like he could be a 2020 Gold Glove center fielder. Like it's very much, in his range of possibilities. It's just, he's got to do something against breaking balls and he has to stop missing so many fastballs in the zone. There are holes in the swing, but it's plus raw power. It's plus speed. It's a plus glove. It's a plus arm. Just if you can't hit, none of those things really matter. Like that's how important the hit tool is. You can still carve out a career for yourself as a 4th, 5th outfielder. Sure. But I mean, that's what Jose Siri's done, but to be like an impact player, he's got to hit a little bit and we'll see how he does this year. I don't think it's a make or break year for him, but he is a college guy. So he doesn't have as much time to kind of prove himself as prep guys do, but there's work to be done on the swing, but man, he's such a good athlete that I'm willing to take a shot that he's going to learn to hit enough that he could come up and probably only hit 220 and probably have like a 300 on base. But he might hit 25 home runs and he's probably going to play. He might be a 4-win player on power and defense alone. Like that's the ceiling there. So definitely a guy to watch this summer.
All right. Our last prospect of the day comes in at number 11. It's Griffin Hugus, another 2025 Mariners draftee, 21-year-old right-handed pitcher, comes in at number 10 on Colby's list, number 12 on mine. He was 14th the last time we did this. So he gets a nice little bump. Partly because of the departures of Durangelo Senja and Harry Ford. Yeah. But Hugus, again, we're talking about establishing that middle tier of prospects in the Mariners farm system. Hugus is going to be a big part of that 2026.
Yeah. I like him, pretty good size, not huge size, but he's 6'2", about 200 pounds. Good athlete on the mound. Really interesting data on the fastball. It has a lot of ride, a lot of spin to it. Is, good size, gets down the mound very well for his size, like plus extension relative to his size. And it's also a low release point, the vertical approach angle or whatever, the Brian Wu thing, essentially, right? The thing that makes Brian Wu's fastball so good. Griffin has it. He doesn't quite have the velo of Wu, but it's very similar approach. And that's why the fastball is going to have, good life. And he's going to get swing and miss on the four seamer. And that's something that's really important. He throws strikes, but control well ahead of command. Right now, it's not pinpoint like Wu and Kirby. It's more, kind of Luis Castillo-esque, where it's like, yeah, he's probably not going to walk a bunch of dudes, but he'll leave some pitches in the middle that he doesn't want to. But again, he's just now starting out. Has a real affinity for spinning the baseball too. Good spin rates on the fastball and 2 separate unique breaking balls. So yeah, he's also been described as kind of a tinkerer, kind of a, data junkie. Like he loves to get information on his pitches. He really likes to talk about pitch shape and all of that and attack plan. So very analytically driven, much like Brian Wu and Logan and Bryce Miller and all that. So he seems to fit in really well with what the Mariners want to do. We'll have to see how it looks. We haven't really gotten a look at him, but he does have an opportunity, I think, to be that next, kind of real find in the middle rounds. Probably not Bryce Miller and Brian Wu. I mean, those are really good finds, but there are some similarities between him and Miller. Just the velo is just a little bit off, but in terms of like size and extension down the mound and all that, there's some similarities there. So I'm really interested to watch him pitch this year. I think he has an opportunity to move pretty quick. We'll just have to see. The college numbers weren't great. They weren't as bad as Wu's, but again, Wu is kind of the trump card for everybody. Like, he wasn't very good in college. So also, by the way, neither was Logan Evans. Like the Mariners have good luck with these guys. And Hugus to me just screams that profile of the, big extension, low arm slot, fastball at the top of the zone. Just get a ton of value off of that pitch. And they have a guy who's wants to learn and he wants to get better. And those are the guys the Mariners gravitate towards.
Yeah, and maybe he's not Brian Wu or Bryce Miller because that would be an unfair expectation to put on him. Yeah. But
he's not.
But I would also say, even though that he's kind of landed in a similar range that we would, that we have ranked these, the guys that I'm about to mention in the past, I would say that he's a tier above like the Brandon Garcias, the Logan Evanses of the world. Oh, yeah. And there's definitely room for him to put even more separation between him and those guys as well. So, like I said earlier, like he's a big part of establishing that middle tier. It's possible that he just blows past the middle tier and he becomes one of the, the real like 10 best dudes in this farm system.
Right. I mean, he's kind of like Dickerson, where it's like if he holds his spot when we do this again in 5-6 months, that's a great sign because it means that the younger, more talented first, second round pick guys haven't come in and pushed him down. He's kind of moved up the list, and then we'll move him back down as we add guys. But yeah, I'm Hugus and Dickerson are 2 guys I'm very excited to watch, and I think decent chance to end the year in Arkansas, but they're probably going to start the year, I would think, in Everett would be my guess.
All right, well, the top 10 will be coming your way tomorrow, but that's going to do it for our show for now. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And once again, if you never miss an episode, it's time to make it official. Join the Locked On Everydayer Club and get ad-free audio, access to our members-only Discord, and more, all built for our most loyal fans. For Colby Patnode, I'm Ty and Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Ty and Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.